Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. In the crowded schoolyard, a group of bullies was attacking a quiet, unassuming boy, pushing him against the lockers and snatching his bag. They laughed, confident of their impunity. What they didn't know was that this boy, Alex Romano, was the only son of Vincent Romano, one of the most feared mob bosses in the country. Alex took every blow with icy patience, his gaze betraying an eerie serenity. Behind his glasses, his eyes observed, memorized, and calculated. Every insult, every slap, every burst of cruel laughter was recorded in his memory, ready to be turned against those who dared to challenge him. When the bell rang, signaling the end of class, Alex didn't move immediately. He simply smiled, a calm but terrifying smile, almost imperceptible. The bullies, proud of themselves, walked away laughing, unaware of the danger they had just caused. A few miles away, in a luxurious but dark mansion, Vincent Romano was finishing a business dinner. His phone buzzed. Alex had sent a simple message: "They've started, Dad." Silence fell over the room like a leaden blanket. Vincent stood up slowly, his gaze hard, and whispered, "All right, it's time they learned the cost of messing with my son." That evening, Alex returned home with an eerie calm, as if nothing had happened. But in his mind, revenge was brewing, silent and relentless. The thugs would soon discover that attacking the son of a mafia boss was the biggest mistake of their lives. The school was immersed in the usual bustle of the end of classes. Laughter, chatter, and the sound of slamming lockers echoed through the hallways. Alex Romano walked leisurely, his headphones in, oblivious to curious or contemptuous stares. But it only took a few steps for the school bullies, led by Jake Matthews, the most arrogant of the group, to spot him. "Hey, little Romano!" Jake shouted. Alex looked up, a small smile on his lips. "What now?" he asked calmly, as if he had been expecting this confrontation all along. Without waiting for an answer, Jake stepped forward and violently shoved Alex. His friends burst out laughing. Alex didn't fight back. He took the blow with almost supernatural control, as if his body were trained to never bend. "He's weak," one of the acolytes yelled. Alex replied simply, "You'll regret this." His voice was soft, almost innocuous, but it carried an invisible threat, a silent warning that no one dared decipher. The bullies burst out laughing, thinking it was a childish provocation. But Alex mentally noted every name, every expression, every movement. He knew exactly what he would do, when, and how. When the bell signaled the end of class, Alex didn't move immediately. He stood there, watching the bullies leave, their arrogance inflated by their ignorance. What they didn't know was that Alex wasn't just another high school student. He was the only son of Vincent Romano, a name even adults whispered fearfully on the city streets. And every insult, every push, only fueled the silent fire of his vengeance. When he returned home that evening, Alex sent a simple but meaningful message to his father. They started. At the Romano mansion, Vincent read it and just smiled coldly. "Very well," he murmured. "It's time they understood who they're dealing with." And so, the first mistake of the brutes marked the beginning of a methodical and relentless revenge. The next day, school seemed normal, but Alex observed everything with an almost military attention. He had no need to rush, patience was his most formidable weapon. While Jake and his friends mocked another student in the courtyard, Alex snuck in, taking mental notes. Every habit, every weakness, every arrogance would serve him well. He knew the first response had to be subtle, enough to sow seeds of doubt, but without triggering a direct confrontation. At home, in his room, simply decorated but equipped with computers and strategy boards, Alex began to plan. He filed away his notes on the bullies. Jake Matthews, impulsive, arrogant, loves to impress his friends. Liam Carter, follower, easily manipulated. Derek Shaw, violent, but fearful of the unexpected. Alex smiled as he sketched out scenarios in his notebook. It wasn't just about getting physical revenge, but about showing them that beneath the guise of a quiet boy, there was someone who saw everything and controlled everything. The next day, during lunch, the first sign of his strategy appeared. As Jake was about to harass another student, a series of strange little incidents occurred around him: a bag spilled, chairs moved, a lost phone, always at the exact moment he was about to intervene. The bullies began to whisper among themselves, sensing something was wrong. Jake frowned, irritated. "What the hell is this?" he shouted. Alex sat calmly at the other end of the cafeteria, smiling imperceptibly behind his glasses. Not a word, not a gesture, but everything was orchestrated to make Jake feel vulnerable and out of control. This was the first crack in the bullies' arrogance. For the first time, they felt a twinge of worry. And Alex knew exactly how to turn that worry into fear. That evening, he sent another message to his father. First move made. They're starting to sense danger. Vincent Romano, in his dimly lit office, smiles with satisfaction. Well, let them think it's a coincidence. Very soon, they'll understand that it's the chief's son who's manipulating them. Alex hadn't yet lifted a finger, yet fear was already beginning to creep into the minds of his enemies. A few days later, Alex knew it was time to make his presence more visible, but without ever directly confronting the bullies. His goal: to subtly sow doubt and humiliation in front of the entire school. He arrived late first thing in the morning, his face impassive as usual. Jake and his friends, stationed near the lockers, were waiting for him, ready to launch another attack. But Alex had prepared his trap. As Jake moved to shove him, Alex made a discreet gesture. Moments later, a basketball thrown into the gymnasium smashed against the wall right behind Jake, startling the group and causing an uproar. The other students burst out laughing as Jake jumped and nearly fell. Then, at lunch, Alex continued his strategy. He inadvertently dropped a loaded tray right in Jake's path, splashing his white blouse and prompting ridicule from the entire dining hall. Alex hadn't started the incident, but everyone subconsciously knew he was involved. Jake began to feel paranoid. Every move he made seemed drawn to the chaos, and every movement of Alex's, however calm and discreet, seemed calculated to trap him. Liam and Derek, his accomplices, began to doubt themselves, and the group's arrogance cracked beneath the laughter and murmurs of the students. That evening, Alex returned home and noted each reaction in his notebook. Jake, irritated, stressed, paranoid. Liam, hesitant, easily influenced. Derek, confused, angry but helpless. He sent a message to his father, succinct but full of meaning. They started to lose control. Fear set in. Vincent Romano smiled, a cold, satisfied smile. Perfect. The first public humiliation is always the most effective. Soon, they will know that beneath that calm face hides an enemy none of them ever imagined. Alex knew he had planted the first seed of fear, and the harvest was only just beginning. The proud and arrogant thugs were still unaware that their worst mistake had just been made, attacking the son of the mafia boss. Alex knew fear was a good start, but to truly neutralize the bullies, he had to divide them. A united group is dangerous, but a fractured one becomes vulnerable. The next day, Alex put his plan into action. He started by targeting Liam, the most impressionable. During math class, he surreptitiously slipped a note into Liam's notebook, making it look like Jake was teasing him behind his back and trying to humiliate him in front of everyone. Liam, flustered, didn't know who to trust anymore. The suspicious glances he shot Jake didn't go unnoticed. Alex, sitting calmly at the back of the class, observed every micro-expression, every hand tremor. During break, Derek found himself in an embarrassing situation. His phone was stolen and sent to the entire school group chat, revealing his plans to bully and threaten other students. Laughter erupted, and Derek, flushed with embarrassment, realized he no longer had coverage. Jake, furious and confused, began accusing his own friends. "Who betrayed me?" he shouted, slamming his fist against a locker. But neither Liam nor Derek defended him. Fear and mistrust had already taken their toll. Alex, however, remained in the shadows. Not a word, not a gesture. Just the calm certainty that every crack in the group brought him closer to victory. That evening, he sent another message to his father. The division works. Soon they will be nothing more than a memory. Vincent Romano nodded silently, satisfied. All right, all that's left is to finish the job. And it will be quick and clean. Alex had understood something essential: fear, humiliation, and division were more effective than direct violence. And while Jake struggled with his own friends, Alex prepared to strike where it would hurt most: their reputations. Alex knew that to destroy Jake he had to strike where he thought himself invincible: his reputation. He had bought time, sown fear and confusion. Now came the moment of social killing, brilliant, irrefutable, and irreversible. Football week arrived, the school's most anticipated event, where the stands filled with parents, alumni, and local influencers. Jake was already preparing to play the icon: perfect photo, commanding gaze, mocking commentary ready to be fired off. Alex watched from the shadows, the plan meticulously sketched in his notebook. The first piece of the puzzle was trust. Alex sent Liam, via an anonymous account, a supposedly behind-the-scenes video, Jake bragging to his friends, detailing how they had bullied several students and laughing at the humiliations. The video was elaborate, cuts, fake background sounds, but plausible enough to be moving. Liam, still fearing Jake's wrath, was frightened upon seeing it and showed it to Derek, seeking advice. Derek, already weakened by the theft of his phone, didn't know what to do and showed it to another classmate. The snowball effect began. Next, Alex took over the public eye. On game night, as the stadium rocked, giant screens flashed, to everyone's shock, a compilation of anonymous messages and screenshots revealing Jake's vicious conversations, photos of him humiliating a classmate, and, to make matters worse, the infamous behind-the-scenes video. The entire school froze, whispers, stares, phones raised. Jake, red as a coal, stood up to protest, his voice trembled. His friends hesitantly sought their support, but the ice had just broken. A heavy silence fell before murmurs of disgust turned into boos. Parents turned away, some shook their heads, others took photos and began posting them. The school administrators tried to turn off the broadcast, but it was too late. The rumor had already taken the form of a digital tsunami. Even more humiliating, a group of students stood up and escorted one of Jake's victims to the center of the field. The girl, her tears still fresh, declared in a trembling but clear voice what had been done to several students. Her words were simple, powerful, and the crowd's attention became a public accusation. Jake tried to retaliate angrily, but no one supported him. Liam and Derek, too hurt and guilt-ridden, avoided his gaze. His lies and justifications sounded hollow and grotesque under the community's stern gaze. When the match resumed, Jake sat with his head bowed as the online comments transformed his image into a humiliating meme that would circulate for weeks. Alex, in the stands, remained impassive. He only observed, noted the reactions, and felt a cold satisfaction rise within him. There had been no physical confrontation, just the carefully orchestrated collapse of a facade. His revenge left no direct traces that could compromise him. Everything was anonymous, considered, irrefutable. That evening, as he was returning home, he sent a brief message to his father. His reputation is shattered. He is isolated. Vincent responded with a simple emoji and one word. Good. Go on. Alex smiled, without joy, but with the certainty of a plan moving forward like a relentless machine. He knew that Jake's public fall was only one link. More mistakes, more humiliations would await those who had thought they could attack the son of a powerful man with impunity. After Jake's public humiliation, the school seemed to breathe a breath of fresh air. The students who had been mocked by Jake and his accomplices regained some confidence, while the bullies, shocked and suspicious, remained in the shadows, scrutinizing Alex's every move. But Alex knew the danger was not yet over. Jake's pride, wounded but intact, could push him to impulsive revenge. Alex then decided to consolidate his position by forging discreet alliances. He began by approaching Emily, a brilliant and respected student who had always kept her distance from conflict. Calmly and persuasively, Alex explained the situation to her, exposing Jake's cruelty and the need to protect the vulnerable. Emily, touched by his maturity and strategic vision, agreed to help, offering her network of friends and her popularity to amplify the rumors and neutralize Jake's remaining supporters. Then Alex made a bolder move. He contacted Jake's old friend, Marcus, who had witnessed one of Jake's atrocities but had never dared to speak out. Alex showed him that the only way to protect himself was to collaborate and reveal the truth at the right time. Marcus, fearful but convinced by Alex's discretion and calm authority, agreed. As the days passed, fear and mistrust grew. The bullies felt watched from all sides. Even Jake's most loyal allies were beginning to hesitate. Alex's every move, every word, was strategic. He didn't strike, he manipulated perceptions, sowed distrust, and pushed his enemies to collapse on their own. One evening, when he came home, Alex sent a message to his father. "I have secured allies. The end is near." Vincent Romano, sitting in his cozy office, smiles silently. "Good. You're moving forward methodically. The last obstacles will fall by themselves." Alex, alone in his room, watched his plan unfold like a living chessboard. Each pawn was positioned exactly where it needed to be. Revenge was no longer just about revenge, it was a silent but devastatingly effective display of control, power, and intelligence. This chapter of his strategy was drawing to a close. Soon, Jake would be nothing more than a forgotten name, an example to all those who had thought they could challenge the son of a man whose influence was beyond imagination. Jake couldn't bear the humiliation any longer. His reputation destroyed, his accomplices gone or turned against him, he was sinking into anger and despair. But he refused to give in. If Alex had succeeded in trapping him so far, Jake wanted to prove he could still regain control, even by desperate means. One Friday night after school, Jake gathered a few loyal but hesitant students and decided to confront Alex directly. He had prepared a trap, a confrontation in a secluded hallway, out of sight. His idea was simple: hit hard and scare Alex. Alex, of course, knew everything. For days, he had anticipated this reaction. Jake's every move had been carefully analyzed, every plan predictable. When Jake appeared in the hallway, his shoulders tense and his fists clenched, Alex remained calm, hands in his pockets, an almost imperceptible smile on his face. "So, Romano," Jake began, his voice shaking with rage. "You think you can crush me in front of everyone and get away with it?" Alex didn't answer immediately. He watched, calculated, then simply said, "You're not defending yourself well, Jake. And you should ask yourself why no one helps you anymore." This simple but sharp sentence made Jake waver. He had anticipated a physical confrontation, but Alex showed no signs of fear or panic. Alex's calm presence, his complete mastery of the situation, amplified the psychological pressure. Then, as expected, Jake's allies, who had remained hidden in the corridor, began to doubt and slip away one by one, too afraid to act. Jake found himself alone, cornered by Alex's calm shadow and by the knowledge that his situation was irreversible. Alex took a step forward, never touching Jake, and said softly, "What you've done to so many others, it always comes back to haunt you. You have no control here." Jake, trembling, realized he had been completely manipulated. Fear, isolation, and humiliation were becoming a punishment far more effective than any blow. He finally understood that, facing Alex, there was no easy way out. That evening, Alex went home and sent the final message to his father. "Jake is neutralized. He has no support left. The rest will follow naturally." Vincent Romano, a cold smile on his lips, replied, "Good. You've done more than make me proud. You've shown that power doesn't come from brute force, but from intelligence and patience." Alex knew the game wasn't quite over yet, but he had taken a crucial step. Jake, humiliated and isolated, was nothing more than a broken pawn on the perfectly orchestrated chessboard of a mob boss's son. With Jake completely isolated and his accomplices either turned or sidelined, Alex knew he had won a major victory. But he didn't want to settle for mere revenge. He wanted to turn this situation into a lasting example, a silent lesson for the entire school. In the days that followed, Alex showed no signs of glory or triumph. He continued to behave as always, calm, unobtrusive, and observant. But wherever he went, whispers circulated. Students who had previously been intimidated felt protected by his mere presence, and those who had thought they could challenge him avoided his gaze. Alex also began to subtly intervene on behalf of those who had been victims of bullies. A kind, timely remark, a word of encouragement, a small gesture that restored trust and respect. Each action strengthened his position. He was not only feared, he was admired and respected. Jake, for his part, tried to regain face, but every attempt failed. His lies and recriminations were systematically discredited by evidence or testimony carefully orchestrated by Alex and his allies. Even the faculty began to notice the change. The fear and respect surrounding Alex were palpable, but everything seemed natural, almost invisible. Alex sent a message to his father that evening. Everything is in place. The fear is there, but there is respect with it. Vincent Romano, satisfied, replied with a simple but meaningful sentence. Perfect. You've learned the most important lesson: true power isn't shown, it's felt. Alex knew that chapter of his school life was over, but he had laid the foundation for the memory of his poise and intelligence to live on. The bullies had been defeated, Jake's reputation ruined, and the school now understood that there were lines that should never be crossed with him. It wasn't revenge that made him strong. It was patience, calculation, and the ability to turn his enemy's every move into an advantage. Alex had shown, without ever raising his hand, that no one could challenge the son of a mob boss without paying a price. Just as the school seemed finally under Alex's discreet control, a new threat emerged, more subtle but just as dangerous. A student, Vanessa Blake, known for her intelligence and cunning, quickly discovered Alex's strategic moves. She wasn't motivated by revenge or arrogance, she saw him as an opponent worthy of testing, a challenge to be met. Vanessa began by observing Alex from a distance, noting every interaction, every gesture, every word. She didn't want to humiliate him, but she did want to test his patience and intelligence. Her interventions were subtle, harmless rumors, calculated questions, and small challenges that forced Alex to react without losing his composure. Alex, aware of his game, showed no sign of panic. He analyzed every move, assessing Vanessa's intentions and anticipating her actions. Unlike Jake, she wasn't trying to destabilize him with fear or violence. She was testing his limits and his ability to handle a threat motivated not by hatred but by intellectual ambition. The first test came during a group project in science class. Vanessa arranged to be in the same group as Alex and subtly suggested ideas designed to embarrass him in front of the teacher. But Alex, calmly and subtly, turned each suggestion into an opportunity, making the project not only flawless but also admired by the entire class. During the break, Vanessa, surprised but intrigued, realized that Alex was not only cunning, but also capable of turning every attempt at manipulation against its perpetrator with seemingly no effort. For the first time, she felt she had met someone on his level. That evening, Alex wrote to his father. A new opponent appears. She's intelligent, not malicious, but she's testing my limits. Vincent Romano responded with the wisdom of a man accustomed to power games. Very well. It's not a mistake to meet an opponent, but an opportunity to show that your intelligence surpasses all ambitions. Observe, anticipate, and remain in control. Alex understood then that true mastery lay not only in fearing and humiliating the weak, but also in the ability to handle an opponent capable of thinking, planning, and challenging his mind. The next step would not be a simple rematch, but a silent duel of strategy and intelligence, a final test that would determine who, in this high school, truly held control. The school was buzzing. Alex's days of silent domination seemed to have found a new equilibrium, until Vanessa Blake decided to publicly confront Alex. Not with violence, but with an intellectual and strategic challenge, subtle and formidable. During a puzzle and logic competition organized by the school's elite club, Vanessa challenged Alex without naming him, creating puzzles that highlighted his own skills while testing his patience and foresight. The curious students formed a circle around the intellectual duel, unaware that they were about to witness Alex's ultimate display of mastery. Vanessa proposed the first riddle, a complex puzzle designed to trap Alex and expose his weaknesses. Most of the participants failed, and some students whispered that Alex was finally about to reveal himself. But Alex, impassive, calmly observed the data, connected them, and proposed an unexpected solution that was not only correct but also demonstrated a superior understanding of the problem. The audience applauded in admiration, and Vanessa, surprised, felt a thrill of respect and defiance. She continued the duel, throwing out increasingly subtle and twisted riddles, but Alex always solved them, turning each trap into a springboard to demonstrate his intelligence and mastery. At the end of the competition, Vanessa, smiling but aware of defeat, extended her hand to Alex. "You're truly impressive," she said. "I've never met anyone who can remain so calm and precise under pressure." Alex accepted the handshake, acknowledging his opponent's respect. "True mastery," he replied gently, "is not crushing others, but knowing how to control each situation without losing your cool." This duel marked a turning point. Jake and his former accomplices, still reeling from their past humiliations, understood that Alex's victory lay not in violence, but in intelligence, strategy, and patience. Vanessa, for her part, became a valuable ally, now respecting Alex as an equal rather than a rival. That evening, Alex sent one last message to his father. "It's all over. Respect and control established." Vincent Romano, proud but silent, replied simply, "You've got it all figured out. True power doesn't need to be shouted. It needs to be felt." Alex allowed himself a small smile. The son of a mob boss had turned a personal affront into a masterclass in patience, strategy, and control. The entire school knew him now, not as a bully, but as someone to be respected, feared, and admired, without ever raising a hand. And so, the silence and precision of Vincent Romano's son had won the final victory.